Okay, welcome to our 10-minute stretch session. Today we are going to be using a yoga block or a pillow, honestly whatever you have available in your home. And we're going to get started standing. So today's focus, our main focus is going to be on hips and back and shoulders. So a little selfishly hips. I'm having some hip issues, but I figure that we're all sitting at our desk all day for work, and so it's always a good idea to stretch out hips. But we will get a little bit of everything as well. So let's go ahead and start standing. You are away from your desk, away from your work. We're actually going to find what's called a mountain pose in yoga. This will not be a yoga class. I do want to start with a yoga pose though. So nice and tall here, okay? Your feet are situated right underneath your hips, soft knees. I want you just to pull your shoulders down away from your ears. And go ahead and close your eyes here for a moment. Hi, Kishwar. Go ahead and just close your eyes here for a moment. We're just starting. So I want you to think of pulling those shoulders down and away from your ears. And just start to focus in on your breathing. So pushing away any thoughts of work or what you have to get done today. I just want you to push them off to the side. Just to the end of your mat for the next 10 minutes. And start to focus in on your breathing. Start to ground those feet into the floor. Feel yourself getting a little bit taller with each breath. Feel your shoulders start to draw down and back to the mat as your chest lifts up towards the ceiling. Think of elongating your spine and your neck. And with your eyes still closed, place your right hand on your chest, left hand on your belly, and just listen to your breaths. Just to kind of calm our mind here for a moment as we start. Maybe you're hearing the birds chirp in my video. Focus on that, focus on your breathing. Sometimes one of the hardest things is just to be still and just to be silent for a moment. Challenge you to do that. If you find your mind wandering, bring it back to your breath. Just slow it down. How deep can you make those inhales? And how long can you make your exhales? One more time, fill up the lungs completely. Try to inhale, let's count to 5. I will count out loud. You're gonna count in your head. So big inhale for 5, 4, 3, keep breathing in 2, 1, and then exhale out for 5. Big exhale, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Perfect. Go ahead and open your eyes, take those hands down. Let's shake it out. Get a little movement here. Starting with those shoulder rolls. So when you're feeling really stressed out or anxious, that's a really good thing to do. Just taking a moment to focus in on your breathing. And try not to worry about anything else that's going on. All right, let's go ahead and bend those knees. We're gonna inhale, reach the arms up, and then take them down as you exhale. So just doing a couple of these at your own breath. So we're just starting with a little bit more of a dynamic movement before we get into those more static stretches, because I do want you to have that blood flowing and be a little bit warmer in case you have been sitting at your desk all morning, right? So let's get a little bit of movement going on here. Feel free to make this as big as you want. I'm going to just show you from the side. So you're getting nice and low like you're in a squat. And then maybe you're arching back if that feels good today. And we'll do 2 more here. Nice big inhale. Exhale, 1 more. You're going to stay in this forward fold for me. Forward fold. So we talked about grabbing that block or pillow earlier. Here's a great place to use it. Forward fold. If you're anything like me and have those tight hamstrings, you might not be able to place your hands to the floor. So rather than straining for it, we're bringing the floor to meet us where we are at today, right? And every day is different. Some days you're feeling good. Other days you feel not so good, and that's okay. No judgment, our bodies are perfect the way they are, right, Sandy? I want you to nod your head yes. Shake your head no. Feel free to bend those knees here in this forward fold position. One more breath in your forward fold. All right, so from here, whatever way is easiest for you, just gently make your way to the floor. So I'm just gonna drop down one knee at a time. And you're gonna find a tabletop position. Okay, so nice tabletop cat-cow first. Inhale, you drop your belly to the mat. Your chest lifts up and your shoulders actually draw down away from your ears. And as you exhale, you bring that chin to your chest and you round the spine. And I want you to cycle through this 2 more times. And then we're gonna get into those shoulders that I talked about. And then into our hips. And you're gonna do this 1 more time. Think of sinking into the mat. In your inhale, getting really heavy here. And then exhale, lifting away from the mat. All right, so quick child's pose before we go into our shoulder exercise or shoulder stretch, knees wide, feet back, into this child's pose. So that block, if you can't quite make it to your heels, you can sit on that block. Another thing that I like to do is place my block in front of me. I'm trying to press my chest to the mat, but also my forehead. And if it's not reaching, then I bring my forehead to that block or that pillow. Take 2 deep breaths, pressing your chest to the mat. 1 more deep breath, sinking those hips back. And then slowly come back up to your tabletop. All right, so this is our thread the needle, a spinal twist, focusing more on those shoulders. We're gonna inhale, lift that left arm. Doesn't matter which side you do first. Exhale, you're gonna thread the needle. So we're gonna do a little bit dynamic. So we're gonna do it 3 more times before we hold it. So inhale, lift. Try to open up gently towards that side. Exhale, thread the needle. 2 more. Inhale. So create a little movement. And then 1 more time, we're gonna hold it on that last one. Inhale, exhale. Here's where you lower to your shoulder, maybe your cheek. Keep your hips up. And just relax that other arm. If you want a little more of a stretch, extend that other arm up to the ceiling, maybe even wrap it around and reach for your hip. Just an option, a little more challenging. So again, listen to your body, see how you're feeling today. It is not gonna be the same as you felt yesterday or how you're gonna feel tomorrow. And that is okay. Gently press those hips back and then slide that arm back to its spot right underneath your shoulder. Okay, let's do the other side, same thing. Inhale, lift over 4 times. Exhale, thread the needle. A little more dynamic movement here. Inhale. Also good for our joints here to get that blood flowing. Inhale, so we're not just going right into that static stretch, right? And then 1 more. Inhale. And exhale. Here we go. Static meaning holding, right? So now you hold this stretch. Keep those hips up. Head down, shoulder down. Notice if one side feels a little bit tighter than the other. Just making note of that. Not judging. Maybe that side needs a little extra love today. And then slowly sink those hips back. And let's come back up to the center. Perfect. Okay. So let's come back into that child's pose 1 more time. Press your chest to the mat and your forehead. Notice if maybe you've got a little bit deeper into it this time. Take 2 more breaths. And when you're ready, slowly walk those hands up. Okay, so now focusing in on our hips. Okay, so I fold my mat here because we are going to be kneeling for a couple of breaths. So if you like a little extra support for those knees today, you're going to grab a towel or fold that mat. Hip flexor stretch, but we're also going to get into our shoulders with it, okay? And we'll finish again with that block. So we're going to use it again, not for this one. All right, so let's bring our left leg forward. We're going to start with the right side, right? So we're going to do the left first today. Okay, so left leg forward. This is just a typical hip flexor stretch. I want your toes nice and flat here. You're going to drop your hips as your chest lifts, right? So just take a couple breaths. We're gonna add a rotation and shoulder movement and just a moment. So your hands are just lightly resting on your leg. I don't want you to put all of your weight on it. So really incorporate those core muscles to keep you lifted. Stitching that rib cage together. Shoulders down. Okay, so now we're gonna take that right arm. Inhale, we're gonna reach it up. You're gonna make a shape of a rainbow. And exhale, reaching for your heels. So see how we're opening up towards that side body and also stretching out that shoulder. And come back to the front. Let's do it 3 more times. Inhale and exhale. So don't worry about the breathing. You don't have to inhale at a certain time. I'm just keeping those breaths so that you don't hold your breath, right? Because then we won't be able to get into that stretch. And it is easy to hold your breath while you're focusing on all these things. So last one, and we're just gonna hold it. So like a seated twist, you're gonna drop that shoulder, look over that shoulder. Maybe you can reach back for that heel. That other hand, you can gently press against that knee to open up your hip a little more. Maybe drop your hips 1 more inch. Nice and tall, and then slowly let's come back to the center. Woo! I don't know about you, but I definitely felt that one. Let's go ahead and just shake it out. And we'll do the other side. So now that right leg, or the other side. Same thing, okay? You wanna imagine you're sort of like on a pair of railroad tracks. So not a tightrope, meaning you don't want your foot, that front foot and that knee in the same line, right? You wanna open up. Sorry, this is gonna be a little more helpful, okay? So see how they're sort of in line with my hips as opposed to this, okay? Because that's gonna be hard to balance. So hold right here. Hip, knee, ankle should be in a pretty straight line. Remember, hips drop, chest lifts. Hands are just here for balance. This would also be a good one to do against a wall if you need a little extra support. So you can hold on to that wall. 1 more breath. I'm just going to turn this way again. Now we're going to add that rainbow motion with our other arm. So for me, I have my right leg in front, my left arm comes up and over. We're going to do it 4 times. Inhale and exhale. Imagine you're sitting in your chair and you're just doing a little rotation. You're just looking over your shoulder. You hear your puppy, you hear your dog coming, just looking over your shoulder. There he is, there she is. And the last one you're gonna hold. So nice and tall, really drop that shoulder. Maybe you drop your hips a little bit. Maybe you feel good to reach for that ankle or that heel. You can even start to press against that knee that's in front. Open up the hips a little bit more. 1 more breath. And slowly, let's come back to the center. Very, very slow. And then sit it on back. Excellent job. Shake it out. Very good. All right, so now we're going to come down onto our back. So I have 2 options for this one. It's going to be a supported bridge. We're going to flatten our back, which is going to feel good on our back. This is also going to feel good on our hips. 2 options, okay? So first one, if you're okay being on your back and lifting your hips, and you're going to follow this one here. Your feet are about hip distance. You're going to lift those hips up. You're going to slide that blocker pillow and place it on that low back, top of your hips, and we're just going to let our hip flexors relax because they are contracted and tightened up all day when we're seated, right? So if that doesn't really feel comfortable, another option that you could do, if that doesn't feel comfortable or if you're pregnant, you can go ahead and sit on top of that block. And you can come into a butterfly position to really get those hips stretched out and have some room for that belly, right? So a couple of different options here, whatever feels good for you. And maybe you prefer this one. And we're just gonna hold for a couple of breaths, okay? So I'm gonna come back into my bridge, that supported bridge. It just helps us give a little rest for our hips. We don't have all our pressure on them. And if you want to go a little bit further, if you were here down on your back, maybe you even lift your legs off the floor. And now we give our ankles a little bit of a breather. So if this is okay, you can circle your ankles and wiggle those toes. Hold this here. Maybe if you're seated in that butterfly, you want to come out to a straddle and really stretch out those inner and outer thighs. Maybe you extend those legs straight up. If you're on your back, let's just hold for 2 more breaths wherever you're at. All right, if you were in that supported bridge, you're gonna bring those feet back to the floor. You're gonna lift up just an inch higher so we can remove that block. And then slowly, slowly, 1 vertebrae at a time, gently come all the way down, back onto the mat. If you're in that butterfly stretch, you can just lift up, move to the side, and move that block over to the side. If you're on your back, hug your knees into your chest. We're gonna roll to one side and meet everyone that's in that seated position. So just gently roll over. And then our last one is a 90-90 hip mobility that we can all do here together. So you're starting with your knees up, your feet are on the floor, and your hands are behind you. I'll actually show you from the side. It's probably gonna be a little bit easier. 90-90, meaning that your legs stay at a 90-degree angle. I actually like to call this windshield wipers. It makes more sense. You're gonna drop. Knees to the side, come back to center, and you drop to the other side. I know my lighting is not great right now, but hopefully you can see this. Just dropping your knees from side to side. Show you from here too. Side to side, right? A little hip mobility. So we'll just do it one more time in each direction. When we started standing, we're gonna end standing. All right, let's roll it on over. We're gonna come up, nice and tall. So slowly roll it up. Whatever way is easiest for you. All right. So one more thing, I know this one I'm adding, I just thought about it. We're gonna do some hip circles, hands on your hips. Another good mobility one. We're just gonna draw circles with our hips. So I know it looks a little funny doing this, but it's really, really helpful, and anyone can do it. It's standing movement. So just think of side, back, side, and front, and then start to create a flowing motion with it. Keep those knees bent, right? And then you just switch and go the other direction. Standing circles. So if you only have 1 minute, right, in between meetings, if you're a really busy person, I encourage you to stand up, 5 circles in each direction, sit back down, you'll feel so much better. All right, let's inhale, reach those arms up, and exhale, shake it all out. Give yourself a hug, tell yourself something nice, and we're done. Great job, everyone.